Welcome to m202 MongoDB Advanced Deployment and Operations. This course will be expanding on the original m102 MongoDB for DBAs, and the focus here is to concentrate on the needs, wants of a large-scale cluster or a busy replica set. My name is Adam Comerford, and for the last 2 years I've been working as the EMEA Technical Services Manager, supporting and helping MongoDB customers around the world run, maintain, fix, and deploy their various MongoDB implementations. That work has included everything from initial development and deployment of a MongoDB implementation, through the performance tuning necessary to keep that running, all the way up to operating large sharded clusters for some of the biggest MongoDB implementations that we have. Well, the focus of this course will be running MongoDB in production. The focus areas that will break down into and roughly correspond to the various different weeks of the course will be, first of all, performance monitoring and sizing and scaling. These two kind of go hand in hand, the difference being that the sizing and scaling piece of the equation will usually be something you'll do before you deploy, whereas performance monitoring is something you're going to be doing after you've actually deployed MongoDB. The other areas that we're going to cover include planning for failure and disaster. So when you've got a cluster up and running, it's mission critical and vital to your business, you have to have contingency plans should the worst happen. And this section of the course will actually cover that, how to plan for that, various different approaches that you can take. Then we'll have a general section on sort of diagnosing issues with a cluster. Where do you go? How do you look at it? What are some of the advanced tools that you're going to use to actually figure out where the bottlenecks are in your deployment, things like that. And then finally, we'll be going into more depth. M102 started describing replica sets, clusters, and the various pieces that operate within those clusters. But we'll go into a little bit more depth about the mechanics, how those things work, and then the impact that the way that those things function has on all of these other aspects, particularly performance and monitoring, for example. For those of you who've taken one of the M101, M102 courses previously, this structure will be very, very familiar to you, but just to go through some of the logistics. There'll be 7 weeks of video lectures. Each of those lectures will have a quiz at the end. The quizzes themselves don't actually count towards a final grade. They're more there to reinforce a particular lesson or to make sure that the key points have been picked up. At the end of each week, then, there will be assignments or homework to do, and those will be worth approximately 50% of your overall grade. And then at the end of the 7 weeks, there'll be a final exam, which is again 50% of the grade. And to pass, the level you need to achieve is 65%, and that's a combination of the two scores to get an overall 65% grade. If you get that, you will get a certificate of completion, just like in the previous courses. Somewhat new in this course will be the concept of a prerequisite for actually taking it. In this case, the prerequisite is having watched M102 MongoDB for DBAs. The reason for that is I will be skipping over some of the more simple things, how to set up a replica set, how to set up a sharded cluster. We'll be assuming that you know all of that, and moving on to how to operate it, how to diagnose problems with it, etc., and diving more deeply into how the various different pieces of a replica set and a sharded cluster actually work. So hence, prerequisite for this course is M102. If you've been running a MongoDB cluster for a long time in production, you will probably have enough context to go through this course. There may be a couple of bits and pieces that are unfamiliar, but anyone with a significant experience running in production should be fine. However, the recommendation is to cover off the material in M102 in any case. Okay, so let's do our first quiz. A nice easy one to start with. What are the prerequisites for this course? Nothing. It's an introductory course. M102, MongoDB for DBAs, M101P or M101JS, MongoDB for Python or Node developers, or a lazy don't make me do it attitude.